Hey everyone, my name is Atey Ghailan. I painted the splash for the Qiyana Empress of Elements that just got teased. I hope you're pretty excited about it. I am super excited to share with you a bit behind the scenes of how I painted it. I also want to say that without the Qiyana pod and the splash team themselves, I probably would not have made it. They gave me so much feedback and support along the way. And I also want to show you how it kind of looks when I make a splash, and I hope you find it interesting. And the first thing that I do whenever I start a splash is do a bit of sketches on paper, and then I jump straight into trying to do some poses with a prop similar to what the character will be using. In this case, I purchased a hula hoop because I thought it was pretty appropriate. And I tried some poses with my wife, and she was very patient with me as we did these, but they were super helpful later along down the process. And once I've done several poses with my wife, it really gives me a better feel of how she would actually hold the blade depending on how she does certain gestures, and it makes me more comfortable as I start sketching just to try a bunch of stuff. I like to start really loose early on just to try whatever idea that comes to mind and that really captures her as a person, because that was the main focal thing that I really wanted to focus on in the sketches is how do I capture the essence of Qiyana and really capturing some of that sassiness, trying some more different types of poses, more dynamic, more action based, and just jumping between different ideas that I was excited about. This was another version where it'd be more prideful pose, and you get more of a background of maybe where the origin that could be interesting, and having some rim light hitting her from behind. I'm personally a big fan of rim light. It really pops out the form when the light is behind the character and just really pushes it forward. Here I'm getting ready the sketches that I want to pitch to the pod itself, the first round of what Qiyana is, and try to get the feedback of what they're thinking and what they like. And after talking to the pod, I did some more exploration and started getting closer to really capture the essence of who she is and who we want to represent. And doing some more exploration, trying a bunch of variation, really capturing the essence of the attitude. I tried like if she was holding the blade versus if it's on the hip, and having on the hip really felt like that's who she is, you know. There's a massive explosion behind her that went off, maybe something caused it, and she's just standing there like, cool people don't look at explosion and just not being affected by it. When I was happy with that, I went and talked to the pod again, and I felt comfortable starting to add in some colors finally into the painting itself. As for the colors, I really want to try and balance like the strong light from the explosion coming behind and try to darken her because she was a bit bright. So I had to try and balance it out and see where does the balance go, because I want to have her being much darker value being in front of a much brighter background. And having some of that really nice rim light coming through. These were like the main things I was trying to solve early on, and I would consider this the color rough stage where I'm trying to solve major problems in the image. And when I'm comfortable with that, I went back to the pod one more time to get their feels on it, and then I started really painting into it. And as I started painting it, I started noticing I needed to darken a bit the values behind her head to really pop it out. And at this stage, you see I use a bunch of liquify tool to try and make the form read a bit more and really match into the league style itself. And just pushing and pulling a bunch of forms, trying to make it read a bit better. I don't like to zoom in too much early on because I really just want to look at the overall image. And when I'm comfortable with it, I keep moving on. And just trying to move across the whole painting as a whole and not get caught up into a tiny part of the image early on. But I also kept going back and forth a lot on the face, especially when you do a painting like this where the character is so focal and the face is almost dead center. It's so important that you get it to read as good as possible and as close to what the pod wants the character to read about, the attitude, the facial features, the structures. And it's pretty difficult, I went back and forth a lot. I kept going back to the face many times, and I think especially like when doing a painting like this, if I don't know what to do, I'll start painting on other things, and until I'm have a solution for the face, I'll go back to it and paint back on that. So I keep jumping back and forth and just trying to move up the whole painting level wise as the image keeps progressing forward. And in between all this progress, I like to share with the pod updates. I talk to my splash team as well for feedback to try and see things that I might not be seeing. And whenever you work on a painting that's a longer period of time, sometimes you just get blind to certain things, and it's really refreshing and helpful to have your coworkers take a look at it and maybe see things that you might be missing. So I decided also to play a bit with the curve of the blade here on the side and just really pump it up. And you see, like, there's a lot of effects on the character right now. It's something called post-processing, where I play with some gradients to really punch up some of the values and saturation and clamp a bit of them. It's something I like to do as I keep going along, and now I like to flatten it. The further I get along with the image, I like to avoid having too many layers. So I keep merging and flattening as I go along. And this is probably the part I was waiting for the most, to start adding some details finally to the crown and the highlights, and just really getting in there and just adding some of the structure and forms to it. It's something I was looking forward to quite a lot, so I was trying to hold it off to the very end. It was like the reward once I solved all the major issues. And it's just super fun adding those details and really capturing some of the finer shapes within it. And just going back, painting back and forth on the face, I started feeling more comfortable about her eyes and the attitude. I ended up doing some more tweaks to the face and the lower lips because she was pouting a bit too much in this version. But I also want to add some more VFX to her weapon as well. But I think that covers most of the process of kind of how I went from the very beginning to the end. It was a very fun ride, and I learned so much painting her. I'm super excited to be able to share this with you, and I hope when she comes out you give it a try. I really like playing her, and I hope you're gonna also enjoy her as well. So maybe I'll see you on the Rift. Have a good one, and thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and maybe share it with someone who might be interested in playing Qiyana as well. So thank you so much, and have a great evening. Bye.